What are the Mets doing? Seriously, what are the Mets doing? I understand that they have two key starters on the injured list in Kodai Senga and Tyler McGill. I also understand that the Mets have been taxed as of late on all facets, especially on the bullpen end, to certain degrees, especially with the gauntlet of games that they have upcoming. But between nonsensical decisions continue to be made by Carlos Mendoza to a degree, between the Mets bats, especially in the latter half of their order, not succeeding yet again, Ronnie Mauricio underwhelming yet again, unfortunately, Francisco Alvarez is not starting this game after a huge defensive blunder, and Luis Torrens picks up right where Alvarez left off as a liability on the defensive end. Yes, folks, the Mets had some of the most Metsian things happen. Unfortunately, they're in Atlanta. They dropped this series by a final score of 5-0. They have now dropped 5 consecutive ball games here in a row, everybody, and just like that, the Mets are now just 1 game in front of the Philadelphia Phillies for first place as they try to salvage this series tomorrow with Clay Holmes joining the rubber, whereas they have that spot starter Friday with your guy Wardy in attendance, which I'm really not looking forward to right now, with Zach Wheeler likely to toe the rubber there for Philadelphia. We have so much to get into in our latest Mets post-game show presented by BetUS, and Mumu and SeatGeek, our amazing sponsors on the channel, but more on them in a little bit, everybody, because I want to see your initial reactions, thoughts, and everything in the comments down below, because I'm pissed. I have no highlights to show, so don't even bother asking. Let's see. Funny Wardy just ended his stream. What did I do? Let me know. Hardo, I'm very confused right now. Regardless, all right, guys, let's talk about this. So I just went live in the playback app for the entire ball game for the most part, just to see my Mets kick my teeth in pretty much from the start to finish in this ball game. Paul Blackburn, as we knew on paper, was having a horrendous matchup, 1-on-1 here against Chris Sale. When looking at the pitching matchups, we knew that this was a recipe for disaster for this Mets team. Chris Sale went out and pitched exactly how you would expect Chris Sale to pitch in an outing like this, going on and ultimately dominating for almost a complete game shutty against this New York Mets team. Not before they need then Raisel Iglesias, everybody. You ended your stream early. The other thing, and yes, I did end it early, and I had to end early to get us all set here for our post game. And yes, Borna is my man, and Borna actually represents me as my agent. He's fantastic. Love Borna to death. But getting back in this one, everybody, fans really thought only adding Soto was enough. I mean, Daniel, we all know that there's a lot more that goes in hand with building a roster than Juan Soto, so I'm not exactly sure I buy that. But what I do buy, unfortunately, is that the Mets have nothing working right now, and the Atlanta Braves are well on their way now, folks, to find themselves sweeping the New York Mets after the Mets swept back-to-back series, or on the cusp of being swept now for back-to-back series. Juan Diaz, great member, 52 months. Minaya, Senga, Montas, Miguel, it's 162, 100%. Doesn't change the fact that we can react in real time to the Mets not performing the way that they otherwise should be performing right now, which is actually good baseball. Because what is one commonality right away, everybody, as we're going to break down everything that transpired in this ball game in just a minute. Don't you guys worry, all the key takeaways from it. But one key takeaway from this especially is that for the second consecutive series against a solid team, mind you, I understand the Atlanta Braves were like 7 or 8 games below 500 entering the season, but it does not change the fact that the Mets and the Braves always play tough baseball against each other, and their record is not indicative on how they were likely going to perform to begin this series. And between bad fundamentals and the Braves pouncing early and often on Paul Blackburn, that was the Mets' demise. But here's the one commonality, everybody, and that's why I'm pissed off, especially tonight. I'm mainly frustrated because it's not just the fact that the Mets have now dropped 5 straight games. They're still well above 500. They're still in first place among other things, even if that's a matter to you or not at this point in the 162, not even in the month of July yet. But after the Mets blew that 4-run lead there in game 1 against the Tampa Bay Rays with your guy Wardy in attendance, you knew that they were not going to have the momentum for the remainder of the series, and they honestly fell flat on their face from that point on. From game 2 and game 3 against Tampa, they were lifeless and had little to show. Then we fast forward here to game 1 last night in Atlanta against these Braves. What happens? The Mets, after a rain delay of an hour, have a 3-run early lead, and they blow that lead in its entirety in a dramatic fashion in the 8th inning, thanks to some bad funnies that we saw by the Mets, especially Francisco Alvarez. And unfortunately, Alvarez, again, telling Reed Garrett to go back to the splitty when Reed wanted the 4-seam, and that was ripped there to a single that we saw to the left side, and that was not ideal whatsoever. So yeah, we're not too happy about that either. And then you set the stage for today, everybody. You bring in Luis Torrens to be your starting catcher over Francisco Alvarez. What is the main reason as to why the Mets brought in Torrens to start today? It's to not only give Torrens more looks, obviously, but it's in part because Alvarez has been very underwhelming. underwhelming. What do we come to find out? Luis Torrens can't get out of his own way. He directly impacts the Mets and their runs in this ball game. However, I'm not going to rag on him too much because Torrens has been great a lot this season. And secondly, the Mets didn't score a run. So regardless on how many defensive blunders Torrens is going to have, it doesn't change the fact that the Mets had no offensive score whatsoever. And I want to hear from you guys watching live on a replay. What do you think is the main factor, the main culprit going behind why the Mets have now dropped 5 consecutive ball games? Because there are some things in unison that we're going to break down shortly. What is some commonality that we've seen over this 5-game losing streak? It's questionable decisions by Carlos Mendoza, specifically yesterday, keeping David Pearson in there after he walked Nick Allen in the 8th inning. Why not bring in Reed Garrett then? And the reason why you didn't bring Reed Garrett in is because he likely wasn't warmed up enough yet. So why did you not have the pen ready, right? Then we also think going back to the Tampa Bay Rays series, you pull Clay Holmes, right? And then after you pull Clay Holmes, what do? You, of course, bring in Paul Blackburn, that we know. Paul Blackburn gets absolutely rocked after you had Huascar Brosman perfectly warmed up for almost 2 innings. What are you doing there? Then you look at the lineup configuration. Why is Jared Young getting every single at-bat yesterday? Why was Marte or Torrens not pinch hitting there in that spot for Young late in the ball game? Why did that not happen? Then you look at other scenarios, and I understand we're kind of hands are a little tied right now when it comes to Mauricio's playing time because of Beatty being injured to a degree. Ronnie has been a free swinger. We know that he's very swing and miss on what you're getting with him at the major league level right now. But then you add in Luis Angel Acuna. I know Acuna has not played much, but when he has played, he has been effective. He had 2 hits in that series finale against the Rays, and he's rewarded with what? Back-to-back games coming off the bench. Acuna has also fared perfectly fine at third base in the 1 game he's played it this season. So whether Acuna is at third or second, why not take advantage of the players that you actually have on your roster? Then you get into the bullpen configuration. It's never going to be a great day when you have Ty Adcock coming in the ball game. I know he was not the reason why the Mets lost this ball game, but he certainly didn't help anything either, everybody. And the Mets, of course, the runner in scoring position woes is absolutely right at the top of the list of other continued issues. You go back to that game blown against the Tampa Bay Rays when you had that 4-run lead. What was the commonality in that game? The commonality was the Mets not hitting lick with runners in scoring position. They were 2 for 16 in that spot, everybody. Whereas if you look here tonight, the Mets were 0 for 1 because they had no one get on base in general. They were 0 for 1 and they left 6 on base in total in this one, everybody. And that's what you got there on the offensive end. Absolutely horrendous. And you want to know what makes things even worse, guys? Quick shout out here to our amazing sponsor at BetUS that has you covered all of your sports betting needs, casino needs. Just utilize our 150% bonus, $125 on your second and your third, up to $2,000 by heading over to betus.com.pa today. And here were the pregame odds between the Mets and the Braves, everybody. And the Braves were once again, for a second consecutive day, the money line favorite. And if you guys did not biasly bet, if you put the bias aside, then you knew that the Atlanta Braves were an easy hammer here. So they were now 2 for 2 in this series. And it pains me as a Mets fan to say that, but they have been right and they've been on the money with their odds, picks, lines, you name it. So check them out there at betus.com.pa today. But guys, one, the Mets organization is too reliant on the young talent. Acuna, Ronnie, Vientos, and Alvey all stink. I don't agree they all stink, but I get what you're saying in the sense that they've been underwhelming, and that's a problem right now. And you want to know what's also a problem? When Paul Blackburn starts a ball game for the Mets, he's batting practice. Frankie Montas has his latest rehab outing, and he's batting practice after going 3 scoreless. He then allows 5 earned runs, including a 3-run ding-dong to wrap up his final inning there in Syracuse. A month's work of rehab, and we're still underwhelmed. So what at all are we getting in Mr. Frankie Montas? Let's shout out everyone here in the chat, guys. We're going to rapid fire break down this ball game soon. This is really going to be more of a vent, a rant, an open discussion than anything else. We're going to get into the numbers, I promise you, everybody, but I really want to hear how you Mets fans feel specifically. So hit that like and subscribe on your way and help us get to 100 likes for first short-term goal. And thank you so much as we grieve and stay frustrated together here in Game 2, a series defeat this time to the Atlanta Braves. Brooklyn, how you doing? Let's see this. Stearns is not the guy for New York. I disagree on that one, Brooklyn. Again, you can't make that nonsense of a comment when the Mets got all the way to the NLCS last year. Seriously, don't let recency bias get in the way of the facts. You're going to get to, let's see, you're going to get you-know-what from Montas. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. That's a problem. I missed the jingle too, Care Bear, great member. We haven't played our post-game win jingle that we play after every single victory in pretty much a week. Tomorrow's a calendar week since the Mets have won a ball game last. Not ideal. Truman, how we doing? PCB in the chat, how we doing? Thomas, how we doing? Going up the list here. My multiple Kevins in the chat. Corn, how you doing? Julia Hawkins, great member. Daniel Caps, great member. Alvin, great member. Daniel, again, going up the list here. Mr. Delightful, how we doing? Going up here, we got SSW, how you doing? We got Papa in the chat, how you doing? We got Steven going up here even more. Hold on, everybody. Give me 1 second. I'm live right now. What's up? All right. Runner scoring position have been a problem all year. Again, goes without saying. James Figueroa, you're 100% right. Oh, JD, thank you so much for the $5. I didn't even see that earlier. Wardy, what do you think about Ohtani getting intentionally hit last night by the Padres? Yeah, I thought that was weak. You know, I thought it was kind of petty, if anything else. Do you think that they will try to hold Soto too when they play? No. No, it's not going to be anything like that. There isn't much ill will between the Padres and Soto. It's not anything like that. If Soto was going to get drilled, it would have happened the Yankee series, and obviously that didn't happen because there wasn't really a reason to warrant it. Thank you so much for that donation, though. I appreciate that. And there was nasty work by the Mets. This entire past week of baseball has been nasty work by this New York Mets team. I saw let's see, the outlaw Chris Sale's arm angle. Crap, Mania borrowed it through. Well, GG, I'm out of ideas. I know, and we are waiting for Mania to get back to this rotation, and you don't. And the most frustrating thing is, even with the Braves still like 6 games below 500, they have everybody in the world, their fan base and everyone else and their mother, to talk crap right now because they're on a heater and they're gaining momentum against this Mets team. This is exactly what I was fearing entering this one. I need, let's see, I need to watch highlights. Alvin, I don't know what highlights you're trying to watch because I ain't showing shit. The Mets have no highlights from this ball game, so I'm not going to go out of my way to show you a bunch of nonsense. Professional certified hater, I spent the past 2.5 hours enough watching that godforsaken game. I've spent the past 2 days watching this team and what has been a absolutely horrendous series thus far. 2-0 donation from my guy there, a professional certified hater with the following: send our top 20 prospects to Skeens. Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry to break you this. Skeens is not going anywhere anytime soon, at least not this season. Let's see there. Braves are never out of it. As Mets fans, we should know this. We know very well that the Braves are never officially out of it, and that's why you can never say never when it comes to the Atlanta Braves against the Mets. I don't care if the Atlanta Braves are 20 games below 500. The same way I don't care if the Braves are 20 games above 500. They're a really, really good team regardless, and they went out and they unfortunately got the job done against this New York Mets team. So now the question lies, everybody, how the Mets go about combating this early adversity, because this has been absolutely horrendous. And Brett Baty was in fact unavailable tonight for anyone that was wondering. He is an IL option if there is no progress tomorrow. So now the Mets are facing a potential IL stint for Brett Baty if he is not healthy enough to at least come off the bench tomorrow. So things get from bad to worse, everybody. This is really not ideal. Chris Sale absolutely dominated in this game. He threw almost 120 pitches, mind you, and the Mets had nothing to show for it. Alonso had his worst game of the season, in my humble opinion. Alonso looked absolutely silly that we saw. I mean, me, not you, Wardy. Oh, it's okay, Alvin. I apologize. I'm just rapid fire right now if you couldn't tell. Poverty franchise, those comments would make sense if you at least could do some math. Clearly you can't because you don't know the standings nor the record nor the ability to comprehend what a good baseball team is. We know the Mets are a good baseball team. They just played like absolute dog shit the past north of a week now. Both things can be true at the same time, and that's why we're calling it out. John, thank you so much for the $10 holla. I appreciate that as well. John, a great supporter here in the chat, and Emerson, great supporter as well. Yo, Wardy, hope you're doing well, brother. And I gotta say, I can't have Stearns be sleepy and dumpster diving at the trade deadline like he did last year, and I don't blame you. That's 100% a fact. Winker was a nice pickup at the deadline last year, but the Mets got to do more than a Paul Blackburn type acquisition on the pitching front if they want to have themselves starter depth and starter added success leading up to the deadline, right? And I do know that we await to find out what the results of guys like Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea are going to be. No denying that whatsoever, but knowing those are uncertainties further ups the ante for the Mets to potentially do something by the deadline. Where the hell is Winker? He's still ways away from his grade 2 unfortunate strain, oblique strain that he sustained by making one effing play in the outfield all season. No, that's not an exaggeration. It's a fact. Doubleheader against the Cardinals in case you guys didn't watch. Juan Diaz with a $5 holla states the following: this team misses OMG. He was a professional situational hitter. As much as they love Iglesias, they don't miss him right now. What they miss, however, is a player like Iglesias that That I agree. They have not had nearly enough clutch up in those late situations as of late. Outside of Tyrone Taylor, there really hasn't been a lot there because the big boppers have been few and far in between in what you're getting as of late in the production. Too many guys try to hit moonshots again against dead balls. Trades must be made, and 100% roster moves need to be made, everybody. When you look at this roster right now, you got too much of a logjam with the kiddos, with them not performing enough consistently, and the Mets having a little bit too much of an issue there with the depth of their line. Peralta at the deadline, I discussed Freddie Peralta in our top 10 Mets trade targets video that dropped just under 2 weeks ago. It is on the platform on YouTube, guys. It is our pinned video on the channel, so check it out in case you guys haven't already. Let me know your thoughts on it. Peralta's on the thumbnail, so I think that answers your own question. Alvin with the $2 holla. Mets should be sweeping the Braves. Shaking my head. I 100% agree. But instead, we get the opposite, everybody. And the reason why the Mets are getting the opposite in this absolutely horrendous Game 2 matchup between the Mets and the Braves has everything to do with the fact of what they did themselves. They shot themselves in the foot. The Mets did a horrendous job fundamentally that we've seen over the past 5 games. They've had multiple defensive blunders in the infield. They've had multiple defensive blunders with their catchers, believe it or not, in both Alvarez and Torrens. Nothing is clicking right now whatsoever, and yeah, it just, from when it gets bad, it gets worse, and unfortunately, it is a recipe for disaster here in Atlanta, especially for these things to be happening, everybody. No, I'm not shocked by this. This is just, again, the unfortunate reality of the situation. The Atlanta Braves are absolutely going to be that team to come in to try to curb stomp as much as they possibly can, because we know how much of a lethal team they can be when they have some added incentive, some added motivation, and all it takes is some big motivation against the New York Mets team that's first in the NL East right now, that you hate the Mets to begin with after everything that's happened with them over the years. Now the Atlanta Braves to begin the season are our daddy 2 games in, and it bothers me even more because it's not just the Braves, it's also the New York Yankees from that first series. Again, I know it's just one series, still, it's the Yankees, it's the Red Sox, it's the Braves. Good teams. Frustrating series, to say the least. Let's see here. Mets got to get healthy. That's an understatement as well. Of course, the Mets have to get healthy, everybody. And again, if you guys are just chiming in live on a replay, we are live reacting and breaking down in real time the New York Mets dropping their 5th consecutive ball game, this time by a final score of 5-0. Funny enough, the lucky number 5, more like a terrible number 5 for us Mets fans right now. Now, guys, again, from Carlos Mendoza to the Mets' bad fundamentals, nothing was going in their favor, leading to this 5-game losing skid, everybody. So now let's rapid fire break down this godforsaken ball game. What didn't work in the Mets' favor versus what did, if anything, and newsflash, really nothing did. And ultimately, what we can expect, if at all, tomorrow in the series finale with Clay Holmes joining the rubber against the flame-throwing Spencer Strider there for the Atlanta Braves. Pat Benson, thank you so much for the $2 holla. I appreciate that as well. Can you say 9 straight losses? No, Pat, I don't want to say 9 straight losses. Thank you for the donation, but miss me with that nonsense. I don't want us to have 9 straight losses. If we have 9 straight losses, I'm going to throw up. That's what I'm going to do. So how about we have that not happen? I don't know why you put that out there into existence, but thank you for the donation, Pat. Love you to death no matter what. All right, guys, this ball game began there in the first, right? Star-studded Starling Marte got on with an infield single. Nothing else happens for the Mets in that same inning. We see the bottom of the first. What happens? Ronald Acuna Jr., meatball, hating breaking ball right down the pipe. It's almost like Paul Blackburn should not be a dunce the way that he was to begin this ball game, sadly. Literally first pitch, all Paul Blackburn needed to do was not hang a breaking ball first pitch. And I apologize, I shouldn't say breaking ball. He had the sinker. Point is, he threw the sinker middle first pitch. What do you think is going to happen? Ronald Acuna Jr. is batting .400 right now in this season, the very small sample size of games he's had thus far. The man who's a demon in leadoff, yet you really think, your ass really thought for a second, let's go throw a sinker right down the pipe and see what happens. That's the reality, unfortunately. Already 8 home runs for Ronald Acuna Jr., and not even 30 games yet this season. Make it make sense. He is absolutely a machine. We know he's a reigning MVP when healthy for a reason. Gonzalez with the $5 holla. Thank you so much. It's time to make some moves before the Mets spiral out. We need to go for it, and the Mets will make moves. But the question is to what degree and when, right? Well, what's good, Mets fans? Team was just flat as hell tonight, man. Rough to watch. I think flat as hell is an understatement. John McDonald with the $5 holla as well states the following. Sure, hitting sucked, but I don't want to hear about the pitching lab anymore. Need quality starters. You will still hear about the pitching lab, as the Mets will have more success with it throughout the year. Let's not forget, Mets pitching was not dominant all year long last year. They had their ebbs and flows, and I still have confidence in the lab and their ability to get the best out of these guys, but right now it ain't working. Right now everything is, instead of things cooking, they're the opposite of cooking, and right now the Mets have themselves a problem. And as Francisco Lindor just said to the media, everybody, before getting back to breaking down the ballgame inning by inning, he said the following in response to tonight's now 5-game losing streak, and I quote, "At the end of the day, it's tough to win games when your leadoff guy is not getting on base." So Lindor being accountable, as he always is. That's why we love our captain. He's doing what he's supposed to do, even when he's not performing well. Lindor, not concerned at all with them, but Alonso, in my opinion, had his worst at-bats of the season today. Sale made him look stupid, and that is what makes Chris Sale so good. He makes righty sluggers that you would otherwise think would dominate against a southpaw like Sale do the complete opposite. I mean, Chris Sale was carving up. He was looking like Randy Johnson out there, how easy he had control of this entire ball game. Could I talk like a normal person straight? If that means that I'm not talking normal to you, that's okay. This is how I talk usually, but I appreciate you chiming in nonetheless. Thank you so much for being in here. Let's see. And Yanks got swept. They did, in fact, get swept. That is true. In straight 6, we talk fast and we rapid fire, especially when we're frustrated after losses. So this is what you're getting. If you don't like it, that's okay. I would just suggest chiming in elsewhere. But as we continue on now, folks, let's get into this one, because after Marte got on, but nothing else transpired in the first, Acuna leads off the ball game the best way he knows how for the Atlanta Braves, and that's with a dead center bomb, roughly 410 feet to begin this one. Then afterwards, Verdugo, of course, Alex Verdugo, batting the 2-hole today, gets a single because he does. Then we see Austin Riley get on with a walk. Why? Because Paulie Punchy's more like Paul Blackburn, has nothing to show on the consistency. And Matt Olson ground out later, that shifts the runner and Verdugo there to third. And then we would see Luis Torrens cause, initially they labeled it a balk, then it was labeled an infield error because Torrens made contact with his actual mask, his actual helmet, when making a catch. That was an error, and that ultimately allowed a run to score, everybody. So just like that, it's 2-0, and I'm saying, what just happened? What do you mean it's a balk? I don't understand this at all. Then my guy Jordan Simpson texted me the rules per MLB there, with a catcher basically causing that issue to happen. Should they actually have the mask touch themselves when they make the catch? That was the reality of it. So Jordan, thank you for sending that my way, my guy. But that was frustrating. So right then and there, the Mets are down 2-0 early in this ball game in the first. And then we see Marcell Ozuna, who entered this series with 28 RBIs, 9 home runs, and a over 1,000 on the OPS against the Mets in 25 games against them in his career. He gets a sac fly to make it 3-zip Atlanta, just like that. So a night after the Mets had a 3-run lead on the Atlanta Braves early, they're now down 3. Surely this is going to now be reverse psychology, where now that they're down 3, they rally back. No, folks, that is not what happened. In the second inning, we would see Albies lead off the inning with an effing triple. Why? Because of course he does. This is a triple on a breaking ball down out of the zone that I really didn't think was a terrible pitch by Blackburn at all, yet he somehow pulls right over the head of Alonso down the first baseline, and his ass goes first to third. I don't know how he did it, but Paul Blackburn somehow, some way managed to allow no runs to score that same inning. All they needed was a ground out. All they needed was a sac fly, and it didn't happen. Even after Ronald Acuna Jr. got on with a 2-out walk, it still didn't happen, folks. 2 on, that's it. He gets out of that unscathed. In the third inning, because the Mets, of course, don't do anything offensively, that was the trend this entire ball game, Starling Marte then rips a 2-out single, the only Mets batter tonight with multiple hits in this one, especially against that being a Chris Sale. Soto then with a first pitch ground out, and that does it for the inning, because of course it does, everybody. And we're going to get to the pitching numbers and the offensive numbers here shortly, guys. Don't you worry. In the fifth inning, we would see Jeff McNeil then with a 1-out single. Lindor would then be caught looking to end the inning there in the fifth inning. But before we got to the fifth, let's actually talk about the fourth for a second. It was Ozzy Albies, who had a triple in the first 3 innings of the ball game. He has another hit, this time a double with 1 out to kickstart things in the fourth inning. Then Harris with a ground out gets him, that being to third base, and just like that, Paul Blackburn's day is already done. Here comes Jose Butto, and Jose Butto does what he does best with inherited runners, everybody, and he allows a runner to score. We would see Nick Allen with a walk and then a pass ball, unfortunately makes it 4-0, but mind you, I think that was very much so on Torrens. It was a pitch inside that Torrens was not set up for at all, and he should have made that catch. Bad defensive blunder there by Torrens, and that allows this ball game to quickly become 4-0 and the Atlanta Braves lead. And then we would see that be that as Acuna flies out for the final out of the inning, but not before the Atlanta Braves are up now 4-0, everybody. And as you would see on the pitching end, this was Paul Blackburn's final line. 3.2 innings. This was exactly what I feared in our pregame show today. I said Sale's going 7 2/3 innings, and I thought Blackburn wouldn't even give us 4. And he didn't, sadly. He went 3.2, 4 runs, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a sub-7 ERA. Yeah, Paul Blackburn gets an easy 3 out of 10 from your guy, Wardy, but he was not good at all today. He calmed down a little bit, but he just was not it whatsoever. Because how many pitches did Paul pitch today? And I get it, it's against the Braves, but I still don't care. You need to be better than what you were today, and Blackburn was anything but. 73 pitches, 73 effing pitches from Paul Blackburn on not even 4 innings today. This is why I want Paulie Punchies out of my rotation right now. But the problem is, just days removed from reports coming from Joel Sherman of the New York Post that, oh yeah, the Mets have an abundance of starting pitching depth. Okay, guys, if you want to look at anything that's a kiss of death for this team on the pitching end the past week, go to Joel Sherman's article from just under a week ago from the New York Post for being the perfect jinx imaginable, and that was literally what happened. He put out a post saying that there are teams inquiring for Paul Blackburn via trade because the Mets have an abundance of depth. That same day, Kodai Senga went down on the injured list, and then bam, Paul Blackburn now Mets starter again, and he's getting rocked. So who gives a shit about the trade value now, buddy? You get rocked there, not even 4 innings. We just need you to be a capable pitcher for this team. So we'll get on to the bullpen between Budo, Castillo, Adcock, and Garza here in a second, everybody. But I'm curious to hear from you guys in the live chat and the comments down below. How would you grade the final line of Mr. Paul Blackburn going not even 4 innings of 4-run and 3 earned run baseball? Let's hear in the chat, guys. Oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me right now? That's the wrong slide. That was from the other day. And that is me giving you guys a jump scare because I'm an ass. I did not mean to do that. That was a complete accident. So my apologies, everybody. But now let's get back into breaking down more about this ball game. What were the key factors to the Mets losing this one 5-0, now dropping 5 consecutive ball games? I know the bullpen wasn't horrendous today. That's the worst part. Wardy's scared of Truist Field. I'm not scared to go there. I just hate it. I hate it. It's some voodoo magic devil shit going on in Atlanta. I want nothing to do with it. Where is Dansby Swanson back where he was in 2021 or 2022, putting Sage out, trying to get himself right from having a bad rut? We need Sage back in Atlanta, but not for the Atlanta Braves, for the Mets. That's what we need it for. Could he have been playing like gas since Wardy let's see. Chaos, what are we talking about in regards to Acuna? Luis Angel Acuna has been barely playing the past month plus since winning, obviously, Rookie of the Month there to begin the year out of the National League. I know he's not played great, but I also know Acuna's last game that he was starting went 2 for 3 the series finale against the Rays, so I don't know why we're jumping on him right now. KCB with the $10 holla. Thank you for that, KCB. They state the following: they haven't responded well to adversity at all. Offense is flat and can't score without home runs. Reinforcements are far off. This can't get uglier. This can get uglier. Unlike Phillies, Mets don't have multiple stoppers at starting pitcher. We do, but they're just not ready yet, is the problem. That's the problem. The Mets do have reinforcements, but they're not ready yet. They're close, but they're not ready yet. Frankie Montas has been batting practice the past month in rehab. He's not ready yet. Sean Manaea has more rehabs that he needs to do. He's not ready yet. Oh my God. Lindor has a 719 OPS his past 3 games. That isn't the bigger problem. The big Lindor stat that you guys should nitpick, if you're going to go out your way to nitpick Lindor right now, is the following. Francisco Lindor on the road this season has right around a 200 average and a 600 OPS. At home, he has north of 1,000 OPS. So to tell you that Lindor rides off the fan base and rides off the vibes is an understatement. He loves being at home, but on the road, Lindor has not been nearly as effective of a batter so far this season for the Mets. He's not the only one. When the Mets have as inflated of a home record as they've had up until this past series against the Tampa Bay Rays at home, that all goes in direct hand as to why you're seeing those drastic splits. But especially in the case of Lindor right now, he's been far greater that we've seen at home than on the road throughout the first north of half of the season already, because we're already 70 plus games in the year, as crazy as that is to say. But now, guys, getting back into breaking down everything that transpired in this one. Again, we saw the Atlanta Braves quickly get up in this one 4-0 there in the 5th inning. McNeil then with a 1-out single. Whoop-de-doo, Basil, because then we see Lindor caught stealing and caught looking, rather, and that did it for the inning. Terrible at-bat by Lindor as well to get caught there by Chris Sale. And I know Chris Sale's a dog. I know Chris Sale's great. Doesn't change the fact that it still pisses you off when you see your top player there there in Lindor, taking strike 3, and that's just how it is. After the Lindor caught not stealing, Wardy. Get your shit together, buddy. I know you're rapid fire talking right now, but get it together. Lock in. All right. After Lindor strikes out looking, we get to the bottom of that same inning, where Matt Olson would rip a 2-out single off of McNeil's glove, just deflects off of it, can't make the catch, but thankfully Ozuna lines out for the final out of the inning. We get to the 6th inning, folks. Baldwin, the catching prospect there, the young rookie for the Atlanta Braves, batting from the left side, rips himself a single. Albies with a strikeout on a hit by pitch. I don't know how the hell that happened. One of the most hilarious strikeouts you'll see in the sense of a true sword. Cue pitching ninja, if you know, you know, guys, because swords are usually when a guy strikes out so bad that it literally looks like they're kind of hacking away a sword versus actually reaching out with their bat. And he got caught up so bad here by Jose Castillo to begin this inning that he struck out while taking a hit by pitch square into the knee. Thankfully for Albies, he would be fine and stay in the ball game. And Allen then comes on with a two-out walk, and then a wild pitch, move the runner over to third base. So runners at the corners, 2 outs for Ronald Acuna Jr. And Acuna thankfully strikes out to end it. Jose Castillo gets out of his own mess like the bulldog that he is. I don't know how Castillo continues to do this, but he does. And Wardy, you have to be honest here respectfully, I think Stearns needs to focus on the bigger picture deadline and look at holes such as third base, having a good bench. The reason why I don't see the Mets jumping for anyone significantly at third right now is because, one, there's very limited third base options for the Mets to choose from on the trade deadline as of now. And secondly, the Mets have an abundance of infield options that they are more than likely going to rotate that door versus considering an external fit there, because there really isn't someone as of now that pops in brain at least that makes sense as a trade candidate for third base by the deadline. I don't think that they will go there. However, there's still time left up until the deadline, so we'll see what the future holds and what the Mets plan to do with their youth movement of Mauricio, Beatty when healthy, Vientos when healthy, among others, and we'll go on from there. But as we go on now with this ballgame, everybody, Alonso would strike out again on the slider, down and way out of the zone. Chris Sale was his daddy all day long, unfortunately. And the 7th inning, Nimmo would strike out there on a fastball inside, 94 inside. Fantastic pitch there by Sale. Nothing you could do, lefty-lefty. Tyrone Taylor then with a 2-out single like the dog that he is, his first no hit of the ballgame. McNeil then with a first pitch ground out and the inning, unfortunately. And then we would see Matt Olson with a 2-out home run off of Ty Adcock after Adcock came in and had himself 2 quick outs. All it takes is a hanger down the pipe against Olson, and Olson rips his 15th bomb of the year, this time to right. That makes it 5-0. And then we get there to the bottom of that same, we get to the 8th inning. Mauricio, Lindor, Marte, what do they have in common, everybody? They go down in order. What do we see in the bottom of the 8th? Justin Garza has himself a 1-2-3, all on groundouts. Fantastic work by him. And groundouts is a key word here today, everybody, because not only were there key groundouts by Mr. Justin Garza in that inning, but groundouts was the story of Chris Sale's day outside of strikeouts. Chris Sale made sure that barely any baseballs got lifted this entire game against this Mets team. And we saw there, everybody, in the 9th inning. The Mets get set. They're trying to pounce. Chris Sale goes back out there for the 9th inning because of course he does. He legit goes almost 120 pitches just to step on our throats because of course he does. Alonso strikes out again, this time on a 4-seam fastball because of course he does. Nimmo with a 1-out single finally ends Chris Sale's day before he could get the complete game shutty. Here comes Raisel Iglesias, gets the big out there that we would see on Luis Torrens, and then that would do it there for the ball game. The Mets go on to lose this one in a horrendous fashion, folks, by a final score of yes, and Soto kickstarted the inning with a ground out. If I didn't say that already, Chris Sale was his daddy in this one too. Mets go on to lose this one by a final score of 5-0, everybody. And like I said, I want to continue to hear from you guys in live chat in the comments down below your biggest takeaway from this oh so frustrating Game 2 loss, and now 3 straight consecutive games where the Mets have found themselves in the loss column. A Mets team that entered this series, what was it, 45-27 or so on the year. Now they obviously are, what, 15, 16 games above 500. 1 game in front of the Philadelphia Phillies in first, a day removed from playing those same Phillies this Friday there in Philadelphia, where we will have a live show for you guys from the actual ballpark itself. Win, lose, or draw. Hopefully it's a victory for the Mets. I just have no clue what to expect. Let's see here. How about a trade for Cedric Mullins? I'm not opposed to Cedric Mullins. So we broke down Mullins plenty and multiple forms of content over the past week on the platform. Check it out. Let's see. Told you this was worse than Washington. Yeah, it's not looking great right now, Care Bear. I got to be honest with you, girl. You are right. You have told me wrong. And speaking of Washington, the Nationals have lost 10 straight. They're losing 2-0 to the Rock. What? Are they losing to the Rock? There's no way. I think that game happened already. I'm just double checking to make sure that I'm not going crazy right now. The Nationals are losing 2-0. Holy shit. I'm sorry. Am I the only one that thinks that Davey Martinez should be fired by the Washington Nationals? The Nationals are, if they lose tonight, they're going to be 14 games below 500. And I'm sorry, I think the Nats are way too talented to be in that much of a hole. I think they're going to have much greater success this season, especially in the second half. I just don't understand how the Nats are this bad and on this bad of a skid right now. I know a lot can happen in the ebbs and flows of 162, but I feel like things have soured with Martinez. I think if the Nats are smart and Mike Rizzo is smart, he finally rips a Band-Aid and says, I'm done with the man that helped lead me to a World Series back in 2019. That's what I got to say about that. Very, very curious on that front. I'm not a fan of Siri, but I feel like he's needed in the clubhouse as a hype man. He's a great hype man, Siri, and it definitely sucks not having him a part of the puzzle right now, because even if he doesn't bring much offensively for you, he certainly does on the defensive and base running aspect, as long as he's a speed demon and doing his thing. We need a slugger or two, because bottom line, and yeah, I don't disagree. I think the Mets still could utilize some more offense. And here's the thing. I think the Mets are going to get that offense to a degree from Mark Vientos this year. I think everyone's writing off Mark right now, but Mark is still Mark Vientos. He has a big bat that can certainly play. I think Vientos is going to be a big bopper for the Mets. Down crunch time, second half type situations for this team this year. I really do have the confidence in him when it comes to that. Juan Soto must go. I mean, we're just trolling for the sake of trolling now. I mean, late night, it's past your bedtime, kiddo. Maybe go to bed now. That's all I got for you at this point. Can Grimace play center field? I mean, I feel like Grimace could play everything for the Mets right now and do it at a proficient rate. But sadly, the Mets are not doing anything at a proficient rate right now. And when I tell you that they have been bad, they have been bad. Let's take a further look now, everybody, at the Mets over their past 5 games leading to their losses. How lopsided has it been, everybody? Well, let's tell you exactly that. Just how lopsided have these losses been for the Mets. Because over this 5-game losing skid now, everybody, the Mets have been as follows. They dropped tonight 5-0. Okay, so let's just do the math. 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The Mets have scored 13 runs. 13 runs over the past 5 games. And on average, that is going to be good for, because I'm going to do the math here, because Wardy can't do math in his head to save his life. We're going to do 13 divided by 5. All right. So the Mets are averaging not even 3 runs per game over the past 5 games, leading to said losses. And the runs the Mets have given up over this span, mind you, when the Mets had the best pitching staff up until these recent injuries, is the following: 7, 15, 24, 34. The Mets have been outscored 34 to 13 over this stretch. Pretty effing horrendous, guys. And to do that math over a 5-game span, the Mets have been averaging 7 runs that they have given up. On average, the Mets have been giving up 7 runs in this 5-game losing streak. That's just horrendous. They have to clean this up right now. Like, it's really bad right now. It is really bad. Averaging 7 runs, not going to get the job done at all, especially when the Mets aren't even averaging 3 runs. So not only do the Mets not have pitching in their favor right now, but they also don't have the offense. So nothing is clicking. Nor do they have the defense either, because we just talked about with Terens, he was a defensive liability today. That we've seen the Mets have multiple liabilities on the defensive end. From Alvarez yesterday, from Mauricio yesterday to a degree, from multiple infielders the past week of baseball. And I hate the fact that I'm saying this as a Mets fan when the Mets have been riding high so much this year. But this is a reality, everybody, of when you have the ups and flows of a 162, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything else that comes in between along with it, everybody. And we're going to expand more now on the Mets offense in particular to get into how they fared in this one tonight, and ultimately what is now next for this Mets team after dropping 5 games. But before we do so, let's hear a quick word from our amazing sponsor here on the platform. Hey Mets fans, if you love diving deep into the numbers like WAR or ERA, then you absolutely are going to love what today's video sponsor Moo brings to your investing game. Think Moneyball, but this time for your portfolio. I'm beyond excited to share that Moo, the proud trading platform of the New York Mets, is here to level up your investing. Moo is a global trading platform currently serving over 25 million users in markets like the United States, Canada, Singapore, and Japan. Whether you're just starting out or if you're a more seasoned trader, Moo's app and desktop platform offers commission-free trading on stocks, ETFs, and options, no contract fees either. So plus, you get premium tools, guys, whether it's going to be the institutional grade analytics, Morningstar research, and analyst ratings, all free for funded users. And right now, Moo is doubling down for Mets fans. Sign up through my exclusive link down below, make a qualifying deposit, and get up to, yes, 60 free stocks, plus not one but two Mets Suite tickets. Not to mention, Moo customers can get free tickets to all Monday home games at Citi Field, and who knows, you may even see me at a game. And with zero commissions and zero contract fees on stock and ETF options, you keep more of your wins. Are you guys ready to trade smarter? Download Moo now and swing for the financial fences. And shout out once more to Moo for being an amazing sponsor here on the platform. I think it's safe to say the Mets need to make some moves. They need to do some changes on the roster front. Now, the question is, what do they do here with this roster, right? What do you do if you're the New York Mets after dropping 5 consecutive games? You know that Brett Beatty is teetering on an injured list stint, so that really kind of holds them strapped as to what they would do on the offensive end, position player-wise, if at all. Pitching-wise, they're still contemplating as they want to do for this Friday. So I am going to leave the verdict out to each and every one of you, everybody. What do you think and expect the Mets to do on the roster configuration front? What would you like them to do? That's what I'm really curious. And I love the duality of man in the chat. We have a comment from OMG saying fire Eric Chavez, and then the next comment from James Figueroa saying that Mendoza is fine. One person advocating against a coach and the other advocating for. I know that they're two different coaches, but I just found that funny still. Y'all paid Soto all that money. Yes, Tim, I'm glad that you figured that one out yourself. You're a little late to the party, however, because that news was initially broken last fall. Actually, no, last winter in December, if I'm not mistaken. Pat Benson with the $10 holla. Thank you so much for that, Pat. We got a bunch of donations to address, so let's go ahead and do this right now, everybody. Again, thank you kindly for all of them. I appreciate it. Jordy with the $2 holla states the following: team meeting pending. Alvarez to AAA. I don't think Alvy's getting sent down to AAA. I don't know why you guys keep trying to push this narrative. I don't think it's happening right now. I'd be surprised. But at the same time, the Mets need defensive help, and Hayden Senger would be able to shore up that defensive help. You'd be sacrificing offense, but you'd be gaining one of the best framers and defensive catchers in all the minor leagues. And he had one of the best defensive rates as a catcher when he was in the bigs with the Mets this year. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Mets really do go drastic and decide to send Alvy down for a short stint to get him right, to then maximize Senger's defensive ability if they're really concerned about it. I'm not entirely sure, but what I am sure of is that changes do need to be had with this team to varying degrees. Juliet with the $5 holla. Thank you so much for that. Let's see you. And JTB, that is funny wordplay. I can't lie with the doo-doo comment. Juliet with the $5 holla. Great member states the following: it isn't against the law for the Mets to score after the 6th inning, just saying. Unfortunately, it is as of late, especially over the past 5 games. The Mets have been incoherent on that front. Thank you for the $10 holla, Pat, again with the donation. Where this organization was built on pitching, unfortunately, instead of trading for, Saberhagen's, Violated and Santana's of the world, they don't want to trade. They want to sign retreads. Now, the Mets do want to sign retreads to a degree. That is true, because they do have faith in their lab. The Mets will obviously be pouncing for more pitching this offseason along with their internal options. And I am pretty bullish on the upside in McClain and Ton and Spro to a degree as well, what the Mets have in the minor leagues. But when it comes to adding starters especially, and what the Mets are built on, when, mind you, the Mets offense is the exact reason why the Mets lost this ball game, not nearly on the pitching as it is the offense. If you don't score a run, it's always on the offense. But on the pitching, everybody, they have Shamanai and Frankie Montas coming back. And I don't think that we should push that aside, because I feel like a lot of people are right now. Even if you don't get the immediate success you're looking for, there is so much to happen in the ebbs and flows of 162, and we're not even fully halfway through yet. Steven, great member of 4 months, my man, says they need to play Acuna for tomorrow's game. I would like them to play Acuna, and I think they need to as well. I think you need to surefy, you need to shore up some defense in there. Give Luis Angel Acuna a start tomorrow. In my opinion, I think you should put Acuna at third base, have McNeil at second base, and have Tyrone Taylor in center. Acuna's played 1 game at third so far this year, and he looked fantastic at the hot corner up until he was pulled later on the ball game for Vientos, which I really didn't like when they made that initial decision at the time, because I thought his defense looked great there, but I digress. And JTB, I do apologize if the audio has been cutting out as of late. That unfortunately was happening more so today, as we were getting a little hot-headed and a little frustrated with the game that was transpiring earlier between these Mets and Braves. So if the audio is kind of cooked right now, I apologize. Emerson says, 100% worry. A lot of my fellow, Brethren, Nicaraguan Vientos, but I love the Mets as a whole, and I want nothing but the best and whatever it takes for the team to win. That's what I care about, and I 100% understand that. Philly series is going to hurt. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it right now. I got to be honest with you, Dan. If I'm being honest, not loving it right now. Not loving it. Wardy's overheating from the Mets sucking. Exactly. We don't love that. Mets and the Yankees are now 0 for 11 since Friday the 13th. Holy shit, that's crazy. There's the bad juju right there, everybody. And the Tacoma tweet, combined, the Yankees, Mets, Nets, Knicks, Islanders, and Giants have lost their last 19 I love how he threw the Giants in there. Oh my God. Only the Jets and Rangers are coming off of wins. That's actually insane. That's actually insane. A stupid New York stat, but it is a stupid one for sure. What's the Mets record versus teams that are over 500, Wardy? Good question, and I have the answer for you right now. Let me pull it up. While I pull it up, everybody, you guys can take a gander at the current standings across Major League Baseball. As we know, the Mets are number 1, but they're no longer the number 1 leader because they are not the best team out of the National League right now. That is now the Chicago Cubs, who are division leader number 1. That was the Mets spot for a while, but now they're leader number 2, and the Doubters are number 3. The Philadelphia Phillies are 14 games above 500, just like that, everybody, a snap of a finger, and they are a game behind the Mets for first in the wild, or they are first in the wild card and game behind the Mets for also first in the division. The San Francisco Giants, after acquiring Rafael Devers, are 9 games above 500, and they're 1.5 games up on the Padres there in the wild card. And the Padres, who have been on a downward spiral a bit as of late, they are now 39-33. They're even there for that final wild card spot as things currently stand. But now getting on to the Mets numbers here, everybody. Mets record with games above 500 versus below 500. Let's get into it. Mets record versus below okay. Why can't I find this? It's got to be in Baseball Reference. I thought I had it on MLB's site, but I'm pretty sure MLB's site is only showing me the Mets record versus teams that are below 500, not above. And I want to find the one that's above. So let me go ahead and do that. Hey, Mets fans, if you look diving deep into the numbers, like you guys are getting constant jump scares. This is just, we're all over the place tonight. That's what happens when the Mets play as bad as they are lately. And even when they play great, we're kind of all over the place in excitement. So it's one or the other, for sure. All right, let's see here. Why is this taking me forever to find? Like, what are we doing here? Here we go. Took long enough. I was like, what was taking so long? All right, guys, the New York Mets record this season is as follows, everybody. Or is this from last? Never mind. I can't find it. Can one of you guys find it for me? It's not pulling up, and I don't know why. I thought I just had it from Baseball Reference, and it's showing me stats from last season. That's not what I wanted. I thought I could quick search it through StatMuse, and I can't do it there either. So annoying. Someone's got to help out your guy Wardy here. What is the Mets record this season right now against teams above 500? Because there was a specific website I used to use as well, but not finding it right now either. It's 24-20. Thank you, Enzo. Finally. I don't know why that was taking forever. Ay, Dios mío. Okay, so the Mets are 24-20 against teams above 500, and they're 21-17 against teams below 500. That's what their record is so far. Or 29-18. Which one is it? Now we got two different records. It's 24-20 against teams above 500. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. 24-20. So 4 games above 500 against teams above 500. Don't love that, but also not the worst either. It's me again from India. Oh, thank you so much for chiming in, my friend. Do you think the Mets trading for pitchers like Sandy or Pablo Lopez is more crucial now more than ever? I don't say crucial because I don't see the Mets making a drastic trade for a starter like that right now. So I wouldn't go with those lengths. But I do anticipate the Mets to absolutely be in the market for those kind of starters leading up to the deadline if they aren't already, for sure. For sure. And I know Sandy's fluctuate a lot in his play, but he's a guy that feels like he's a bounce back candidate elsewhere. Pablo Lopez, he needs to be healthy again. That's the main thing. He's going to be out good chunk of the summer there with injury. You got to hope that he's healthy and ramped up properly when he does eventually return towards the end of the season. But then you see Freddie Peralta makes a level of sense out of Milwaukee. There's a bunch of starters out there that can make sense for this Mets team. No doubt about it, everybody. But with that being said, everybody, I think that is going to do it for our latest post-game show. So I do want to thank everyone again sincerely for chiming in live on a replay. I really, really do appreciate it. Again, if you guys found yourself enjoying this Mets content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Help us get to 100 likes in case you guys haven't already. And thank you so much for exactly that. I really appreciate the help and the support here on the platform. Not ideal, and James, I appreciate you chiming in as always. We usually like to run highlights and have all these different things to show you, but sadly, we did not have that to show you tonight. President with the $2 holla. NY is bad luck right now. LA is good luck heaven. Sadly, when it comes to the teams right now, PB9, love you so much. Final thing before your guy Wardy gets out here, this was how the Mets offense concluded tonight's game. A whole lot of nothing on the offensive end, everybody, and I will rapid fire the Mets, and they're actually, no, we're not even going to do that. It's okay. That's the Mets live. That does it for the ball game, folks, and that does it for our latest post-game show. Thank you again all so much for watching. Shout out to our great sponsors at Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets, BetUS that has you covered all of your sports betting needs, casino needs, and SeatGeek that has you covered for all of your ticketing needs. Make sure to check them out all respectively. Thank you so much again for that, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow with content probably dropping earlier in the day, as well as another live show that we will have for you guys after the conclusion of the series finale between the Mets and the Braves. Until then, have a great one, folks. As always, no matter what,